just cavity concoctions.
I'm sure most of you are familiar with the term performative. It's essentially when someone acts like they're interested in a certain topic or piece of music or anything really. They act like they're interested in something when they're not really interested in that thing. And from my expert analysis, I've concluded that it usually comes down to two things. The first one being that they want to fit into a certain group. They want to be perceived a certain way, and they want you to think that they're cool or quirky or not like other people for listening to certain types of music or dressing a certain way. Or they want to get in your pants.
What?
They're willing to sacrifice who they are as a person in order to get some coochie. Either way, we can deduct that what ultimately makes it performative is the fact that it's very obvious they don't actually act like this authentically. And it comes across as very clunky and awkward when they try to do so. And before I begin, I want a full disclaimer. Just because I have a microphone and I'm sitting in front of a camera talking about my opinion doesn't make it any more educated or any more reasonable than yours, because you don't need education in order to formulate opinions on music. Any kind of art form is entirely subjective and everyone's opinion is equally valid. There's no education when it comes to forming opinions about art. Anyway, let's get to my actual opinions. Okay. I'll put up a list of the musicians we're going to be looking at right here so you can see we have quite the collection. You know, we're going to be starting with Radiohead, which I've always found kind of an interesting one. Although I do feel like Radiohead is great, they're very overrated. Especially Kid A. OK Computer is an infinitely better album, and for the most part, Kid A is actually a very, mediocre electronic album. I really don't see it, you know? But Radiohead overall, they're really good. I like a lot of their stuff. Not what I'd usually listen to, but, you know, I always enjoy it when they come on. Deftones, though? That's a bit more my style, I think. They're not quite heavy metal, they're not quite shoegaze. I don't actually know what they are, and quite frankly, it doesn't fucking matter. Making out with a goth girl covered in blood listening to Deftones is easily a top 5 human experience. 2023 survivors know the real performatism of the Affliction skater boys, you know, who for some reason they really latched onto Radiohead and Deftones and Alex G in particular. I don't quite understand why. I think all of them are on really contrasting scales of the musical spectrum. But anyway, okay. Yeah, I definitely listen to Deftones a lot more than Radiohead. It might honestly just be because Radiohead depresses me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not usually trying to be miserable. So, you know. Lana Del Rey. Oh, I can't be doing Lana Del Rey. I can't lie, you guys. A 4-minute long song from Lana Del Rey? That's a challenge, bro. Easily one of the most performative fan bases out there for both men and women. Don't get me wrong. Women can also be very performative. Lana Del Rey got teenagers smoking cigarettes so efficiently it might have undone all the anti-smoking campaign efforts within the last, 100 years. An impressive feat, you know, nonetheless, it doesn't change my opinion on her actual music. That's all I have to say about her music is you know. I don't really know what the rave's all about, to be honest. Oh, NBA Youngboy.
Ooh, give me gas, talking about that little boy.
Definitely better than Lana Del Rey. Don't know if I can quite put her in the same level as Radiohead, but yeah, she's given us a good few certified TikTok classics, you know. Her coffee song, that carried quarantine for me. That's what I think about when I think of quarantine, you know. We might honestly have to add more tiers to the list, just because I don't think it's fair to put her only one tier above Lana Del Rey. She's not quite on the same level as Radiohead, but she's definitely leagues above Lana Del Rey, in my opinion. And I feel like Mitski is actually on the same level as her, you know? Is she my favorite? No, she's not my favorite. Not much else to say about her, in my opinion. I can get jiggy with Mitski. For sure, gangster. Ooh, Clairo. Which for me is actually a relatively new one. I only discovered her quite recently with Juno going semi-viral on TikTok, and obviously a few others from 2020 and maybe before 2020. Definitely not bad. I just don't think it stands out very particularly, considering that a lot of these female artists are very similar, in my opinion at least. My opinions could drastically change in the future, you know, who knows. Out of these three though, I do genuinely think that she's the best. But when The Smiths, wow. I think everyone can agree the Smiths are great. People compare them a lot to The Cure, which I guess is because they were both popular around the same era, or they had some kind of rivalry. I don't think they're very comparable though, considering The Cure is goth and the Smiths is indie pop rock, you know? Why do we have to argue about who's best? Both are good. And if a double-decker bus. They're definitely one of the better ones in my opinion on the list. Not very performative, actually, for a man to say he likes the Smiths, but you know, there's always those people. Oh, Frank Ocean. Holy, oh, this is gonna ruffle some feathers, actually. Frank Ocean, bro, I can't name a single song of his other than the ones that are being overused to death by performative men on TikTok. Even the ones that are being overplayed, like, they weren't even that good to begin with, you know? He's not awful. He's obviously not, like, difficult to listen to or anything, but, like... Oh my god, Frank Ocean! Bro, get a fucking grip. Bro, go die in a war. What the fuck? What happened to the men who used to get blown up by, like, IUDs, fighting for absolutely nothing in a foreign country? Oh yeah, we also can't forget that performative isn't solely pandering towards the female gaze, but also people do it to try fit into a certain category of people, like I mentioned at the start. The logo for Mayhem is pretty cool, but other than that, like... They have 2 bangers, maybe 3. 2 or 3 decent songs after, what, 40 years? Obviously, I respect them as, like, an artistic force, and I acknowledge how influential they were to heavy metal as a whole, but you gotta just not know anything about black metal if these guys are genuinely your favorite, because they're so mid. Dystopia are better, guaranteed, and I think they make better music, but their fans... And their image is being used in an extremely performative way by performative people. And they're only slightly better than Mayhem anyway. Like, again, compared to other bands within sludge metal or crust punk or whatever, like, I don't fucking care what you call dystopia. There's just better bands out there, in my opinion. I really don't know why people have decided to hyper-focus on these 2 bands to make their entire personality. But anyway, back to the female gaze, which is, you know, what people kind of see as performative. With Alex G, oh wow, again, a top tier artist. He's consistently been putting out good music over the years, you know, including his most recent album, which seems to be getting loads of slack. People are calling it like corporate and shit, which is like, okay, I guess that's the latest TikTok opinion just dropped. I typically enjoy like more intense stuff, I suppose, but he's one of many that I just think is solid. He makes good music consistently. Harry Styles, on the other hand, is very, very corporate, undoubtedly. I think even the fans would agree with me, like, it's obviously not a bad thing, you know? I don't think I've ever listened to a Harry Styles song from start to finish, in my entire life, and yet I feel like I could sing along to 90% of his songs. If a man, or anyone actually for that matter, says Harry Styles is their favorite musician, I just think, like, I don't judge them as a person or anything, but, you know, I don't think you listen to very much music if Harry Styles is one of your favorites. Again, no judge, I'm sure they're lovely people, you know? It's just, I'm just a mess. If you're too drunk to drive and the music is right. I've always thought the name TV Girl is like a bootleg version of like Radiohead. Like they had they had the name Radiohead and they were like, okay, well, radio's like a TV and head like TV boy. No. TV girl. The manipulation aura is strong with this one though. Whenever I hear a TV Girl song, I can really smell a boy who targets women with bangs. I smell a boy hunting in thrift stores for women with baby bangs and a septum piercing. Not that I listen to them at all these days, you know, because I'm not a fucking 15-year-old anymore. Do you have any other song that's not about a mentally ill girl you met in college? They're alright though. And Jeff Buckley is kind of the same. Like, Jeff Buckley has a very fangirly audience, which is, I think, what makes him so attractive to performative men. You know, the performative men who listen to Jeff Buckley, I honestly think they're just trying to be Jeff Buckley. That being said, I don't give a fuck about his music. It's very insignificant to me. I don't know if that's because I've not gone through, like, a major heartbreak, or I'm not very melodramatic as a person, or because, I don't know, I just enjoy different types of music, but I just hear him and I think, like, okay. That's my reaction to his entire discography, which is only about 11 songs, you know. Maybe I just don't have the sheer emotional intelligence in order to understand his music. Maybe I lack the emotional depth to understand even 1% of the pain and anguish and heartbreak that the average Jeff Buckley fan feels every second of their lives.
Especially growth, tragedy, pain. It keeps you from reaching for the gun too quickly. It keeps you from destroying things.
If you're wondering what this is supposed to be, this is just supposed to be K-pop, you know, as a whole, because they're pretty much all the same thing, to be honest. K-pop music is like, if you thought Harry Styles was overproduced, bro, you should listen to some K-pop, because they take it to like a whole new level, bro. They take it so far that they treat their performers like circus animals. The cult-like behavior that these artists and their fans and the industry of K-pop as a whole like displays, it genuinely scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Steve Lacy, is a 2-hit wonder. Let's be honest.
Can you be quiet? Whoa.
There is no reason for Steve Lacy to be so rude and arrogant to his fans, because we know damn well they were only there for like 3 songs, gang. There's no reason to be rude to them, especially because they're like carrying your 4-song career, you know? Bad Habits is a banger. It is a banger, undoubtedly, but like, that's pretty much it. Gun to your head, bro. Name 5 Steve Lacy songs, you know? You're done for, you know? Fontaine's DC are very interesting to me. In fact, I think Ireland as a whole has had a very good century so far for music of a lot of genres, actually. Shout out to Ireland, for real. Honestly, good for them. Like, Kneecap? Absolutely unlistenable music, but you know what? They bring forth a strong, like, loving, powerful message, and it gets the youth active and aware about the world's problems, so even though the music is complete shit, shout out Kneecap, for real. Respect, honestly. But okay, Fontaine's DC though, they have a very British sound. Not trying to like start anything, genuinely, but like, you can't say it's not true. You know, I mean, like, indie rock, you know, is a very British thing, but the vocalist is obviously Irish sounding. He's very Irish. Nowhere near the best, but regardless, they're not bad. They do have a lot of glazers. People definitely overrate them, I think. I do think that's it though. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe in order to fill your